Welcome to Pechman's Pro Preferred ROES training video series. In this video, we're going to make a small wedding composite on a 10 by 10 print. It's important to always pick the right catalog before you start, and down in your show sizes catalogs you either want to be in prints, or if you're making larger orders, prints by the inch, which is not in this plus version we're working with today. But you want to be in the right catalog before you build a composite. Those composites, once you've built and saved them, you can only use them in that catalog. So we're in the prints catalog. We've already picked a 10 by 10 print product, so we're going to start building our composite. You may want to adjust your design space by moving this center bar right there sideways to give yourself a little more room, and we're also going to sit there and move this little thing right there, which gives us a little more room going down. So we're going to start off with pushing our pager tool. There's new buttons that show up. Our My Templates window opens. We'll get rid of that now for some space. And we have some extra tools floating around. The first thing we're going to do is pick the grid tool. Get this up so we can see it. And we pick the grid tool and show grid, which is right in there. We're going to check it. It's already set for a 0.5. And notice over here now, there's this little lines that show you. Now you want to stay a ½ inch or so from the edges. It's a good idea for design, but you want to check with your album manufacturer to make sure of all the requirements and things like that you need. First thing we're going to do is lock this node so it doesn't move. And on a Mac it's a Control and then a click on the mouse, or it's a right mouse click on a PC, and then we're going to choose this lock node. And it'll lock this so it won't move around. Some other things that are available, we should look at those maybe really quickly in case we haven't talked about it before. You can duplicate some things. We'll be using that in a little bit. If you get in trouble, you can reset the whole thing back to the default. You can remove some images from some nodes, masks, things like that. And there's this node bounds, and we'll be working with that in a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is pick this draw button. We're going to come up here with our cursor, click, and drag out a box. And as you're dragging, it's yellow. When you let up, it turns blue. This is the box. We're going to come to the right over here, and we're going to pick a stroke. We're going to put a little line stroke, and we have to check this little stroke box. And since our screen has been reduced for the movie so we don't eat up a lot of memory, this is kind of awkward. On your screen with more room you can do it. So you pick the stroke, and we'll just pick an odd, weird, goofy color so you can see it and stand out. Actually, we're going to pick blue. And while we're here, we're also going to pick a shadow for this. And there's a checkbox you have to check, which is right there. And we're going to set an opacity of that. We're going to lighten it up a little bit. We're going to blur the edge of that a little bit. And then we're going to offset this thing X and Y and the coordinates just a little bit to the side. And we're exaggerating all this a little bit just to let you see what it is. You normally probably wouldn't use this much. Now the next thing we're going to do, we've got this drawn, and while this is still selected and we can use our image button, that's the blue one is the focus on the main box. Now we're going to pick this small box, and we're going to go back to our little contextual menu, Control or right click, and we're going to say duplicate the box. And using our edit button, which lets us move and reshape boxes, we're going to come up here and click in the middle of that and drag, and you'll see there was the other box, the duplicate went right on top. So we're going to draw this, drag it. While we have our edit button selected, we're going to come over here carefully and grab this edge and maybe change the size of this a little bit. And then while we're at it, we're going to duplicate this one. Come back, move it. And the reason we're doing the duplicate, that's a little trick that lets you save having to put shadows and everything on everything and strokes, because now all your boxes will be consistent. So now we've got 3 boxes, and just for fun, we're going to show you how these things overlap. what we're going to do is put some pictures in these things now. I don't have to do that, but we will. There's a picture of a couple, and there's a picture of an individual person, maybe the bride. She's a rose. And get this goofy little Z as the groom. And you notice how the first box we drew is at the bottom. Then the second box is there. And just to prove that that's the stacking order. First box, second box, third box. That's the stacking order. You can change those orders, the order of that. We're going to click and activate this top box. And we're going to come down to the layer minus button, which is down here. And click it, and it goes to 2 clicks, and it goes to the bottom. So now that we've messed with that order of that, we're going to do another little thing and spread these apart just a little. Now we're going to deal with the background image. Right now there's nothing in the background. There's this great big original box. It's empty, and you need to put something in there. You can make it black by having a little black file you've already created and saved in Photoshop. And that little stunt you see right there was we goofed up. I clicked too many times on that layer thing. And there we go. Got that back. I got the background layer up too far up. So we can make it black if we want to make it black, but then our shadows don't show much. We can make it white by dragging a white file in there. Or we can put a texture on there, or some kind of a textured background, or another photograph. Right now we got that little texture in there. Or we could actually put a photograph in there. And while we're at it, we can change the opacity of that. I'm going to make sure that we got the focus. Make sure you have the focus on the box you want to work with. So we've clicked on it, set the opacity, cut that back, and there you've got that. So there's your picture. We're going to go down here at the bottom and push these little buttons down here at the bottom and give us some more, shrink this, but we got the add to order. Now we're going to buy this. So we add to order, check our review order, and there's our little composite, all of our files, everything we want. Go back. While we've got this design, we're going to push this save button right over here. Call this a 10 by 10, but we're going to call it a 3P. We're going to press our enter key, and we're always going to use a copy. I always like to do that. Now one thing we've got, now there's our template again, ready to use. And maybe this time we're going to put a picture in there. Same pictures I know, but we're going to humor me here. And you say, well, this is all well and good, but for some reason I need to change these a little bit. So you come back and you modify this one a little bit. Now another thing you can do, back to those little things we saw earlier, node bounds. This is focused, this picture with this orange flower. Click, node bounds, and this little box opens up. I can change the position of the box, X and Y, where it fits on the page. And to show you that, this is setting over about 1.5 inches, so if we just make this 1 inch, can't type, 1 inch. And also we can change the rotation, but I can't remember what the numbers are right now. So there, that thing moves over, but while we're doing it this way, we can just rotate it. So you can rotate that if you want to see what the node bounds were. minus 17 degrees. So if we just take the minus out of there, it'll turn the other direction, 17 degrees that way. And you can add this to order, except now we can't add it to order because we've never put anything in the background yet. So now we got that little textured thing in the background. Add to order, review order, and there's our other picture. So you can just keep making these things right and left. I think that's pretty well it. We're going to end the movie.